Hello everybody, it's Lonnie from, I'm in Bangkok, Thailand again. I've been meaning to get into the video culture more and do some vlogs, and I don't know, I'm in Thailand again and in Bangkok for the first couple days, and I just feel a strong need to maybe report some things that I see going on, which are really unfortunate in my opinion. I have a pretty positive outlook and point of view for the most part. I think the universe tends to correct and go mostly in the right way. The universe is a lot bigger than we are and tends to correct its own course. That being said, sitting here, it's hard not to, I've only been here like less than 48 hours, and it's hard not to see the suffering in Bangkok. What I see at this point is, I just was walking down the street and I've seen people looking at me fairly strangely, which is always a factor in a different culture you're looked at. And sometimes with a little bit of, sometimes with at least a degree of negative feeling, and I think that is common to all cultures superficially, to look at each other with some trepidation or concern about, what may happen. I think that's a normal aspect, but this time it felt just slightly different, and I'm definitely running into, as I walk down the street to my room, there's a food line formed, and I wasn't sure what it was first, but it's definitely a fairly long food line where it looked like there wasn't going to be enough food to go to the people waiting, and I just feel, that we're all in this together on a certain level where communication could correct a small amount of it. The more people communicating, the more the effect. And so, it's hard not to consider that there are people in elite classes seeing, understanding that this suffering is occurring, and maybe they had a plan from a while back, maybe they were slow to react, maybe they were, maybe transhumanism is an aspect. Of course, I don't know the absolutes of all these things, but there's some indications of that. And COVID is, at least being capitalized on in some sense, is my perspective. Wrong or right, I'm continuing to try to learn. But I just look at what's happening here, and supply chains, issues, food shortages. It seems like all of this can be avoided to some degree, and seems like it could have been avoided to some degree. Weighing lockdowns against starving people, it was not that difficult to foresee that this was going to be the result if we looked ahead. I understand the lockdowns would and potential deaths are tragic, but then the other side of the equation is tragic as well, and enduring potentially a lot longer. And I can't help but think that somebody, some people at the top had the knowledge to know that this was coming down the pike, and watching the suffering is hard for me. So, I don't know, like all the arguments about vaccines, mandates, race in our own country, they seem like bullshit arguments, I mean, not completely, but they take a degree of truth and magnify it into a way to get us to ignore our problems. And, you know, there are a lot of people suffering in the world, and, you know, it's, I mean, we're getting down to no jobs, hungry people in areas where there's lots of food growing, you know, and I'm just really disappointed, and people are looking at me not, you know, they just seem to want to know what's going on. They seem to want to know why the I mean, they look resigned to the situation, and tourism is gone, and I'm one of the few people around that's from out of the area. It's you know, there are some good aspects. I see that the culture is starting to be more native again, which is interesting, and maybe is a comfort on a certain level. But there are people begging, and a larger amount of people begging, and you know, it's just worth getting to know. I don't know how many people this matters to. I can only imagine that this is happening in many other countries in the world, and I'm pretty, I mean, I don't know, I have a lot of, I like learning, so you know, I mean, it's not all 100% negative. Watching things progress, trying to understand who's in charge, who is, what is the purpose of the potential suffering? What is the purpose of the way things are being organized? I just, I don't understand why people seem to have made, to some degree, manufactured a situation where this much suffering occurs. But, you know, that being said, I'm very fortunate, and I will be working with a lot of people where I can make a small dent in a few people's lives. It's, you know, it's just, we do what we can, and we let the rest of the world do what it has to do, because, you know, to a certain degree, judgment doesn't resolve anything. I mean, I think we have to state what we see honestly and witness it, but I don't think that, you know, we don't absolutely know who to judge, and I don't know if judgment is a reasonable, absolute perspective to inflict on people unless we know what their motives are. I'm just, the planning looks very poor to me. The suffering, I mean, from what I can say, it looks semi-intentional, and I don't understand why we inflict suffering on mass scale. So, and I don't understand why locally in the United States we're having our conflicts over relatively inconsequential issues. I mean, they are consequential, but they're not consequential related to the mass scale suffering. And, you know, if we want to call it critical race theory, well, most of the people out in the world starving are brown people, and we're not doing anything about it. We're bitching in our own sphere. And if we, you know, if we want to, I don't know. I think we've got to do a little better than we've been doing if we want to uplift the conditions. and quit our bitching and start digging in and working a little. Thank you so much for listening. Bye. Yeah, this is some of the food lines I encountered this morning. Or it's just one food line, but it was very long. And here's where I'm at, Democracy Monument. And a last shot of Bangkok, and thanks for watching.